Hey there everyone, Erica here from High49RC. Who's ready for some more touring car building? I certainly am. I'm ready to get going. I've got my parts laid out here. So let's just jump right into it. Right now we're going to be working on the chain tensioner, not the chain tensioner, the belt tensioner. And essentially, it's pretty simple. Grab this screw here, this long one. I'm going to put on two, if I can grab them, two metal, wait, man, I'm glad I have fingernails right now. Grab a shim, put it on the screw, and then we're going to grab one of these flanged bearings, which are very cool. Put that on, put a second one on, so that it ends up like that. So it has little ridges either side. And then we're going to grab the last, the last shim, stick that on. And then we're going to put a non-lock nut on there. Then we're going to take and stick that into this piece. This is our belt tensioner support. And then we're going to put an M3 lock nut on the back side. Snug that up, and then we can attach it to the center support, or the center chassis brace is what this is. And that's going to go in the center hole here. There's a hole there, there, and there. And that's going to go right in the center. I don't think there's a top and bottom to this, which is good. But I believe that there's a left and right, so yes, it's going to go on like this. There we go. There's that part complete. Now let's go ahead and install this on the chassis. Set it like this. And so we're going to thread this through there around the spur gear. And we are going to have to like pull it apart just a touch to get it seated in there. And then we're just going to put, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 screws in all these holes on either end. So I'm just going to do that off camera because that's easier, and we will continue on. The next thing we need to do is install these little guys on the undersides of the front A-arms here. I've already done the other side, so don't worry about that. Wait, uh-oh. There it is. There, both of those are now in on both sides. And now we can move on to working on the front stabilizer or sway bar. They call it a stabilizer, I call it a sway bar. But basically, the front one is a 1.3 millimeter thick sway bar, and there's a little collar that says 1.3 on it. I think you can probably see that. And then the rear one has 2 lines on it, as opposed to 3. So I've already installed the collar, put a little thread lock on the grub screw, and now we need to just install these guys, which I'm just going to put up to the end of the sway bar, just like that. Grab a little bit of thread lock on a grub screw. There we go. There are both ends attached to my sway bar. Now we are going to take 2 of these guys, rod ends. They call them ball caps, but they're basically just rod ends. And we get to thread these guys into the ends of them. These guys now get to pop onto the little, oh my god, uh-oh, that's tight. They get to go onto these somehow, but they're very tight. Okay. Here we go. grab a pair of pliers. Let's try this. Perfect. So that's the trick to these guys. You take a pair of pliers, you put the pliers on, like, against the ball, like, thing, and then you basically set it in the end, and you pop it in. They're really, really tight, actually. I'm surprised. But now we can go ahead and throw this thing onto the chassis. So the way that this is going to work is we're going to take this bracket, set it right there. I'm going to stick that into there. And then there are these little caps that cover over top. And they get attached. It goes all the way through into the bulkhead using flathead screws. And we'll do the same over here. Then there are also grub screws that go into these holes that adjust how tight the sway bar is. The grub screws are installed now. We just pop the ends of these guys into the little attachments to the A-arms that we just added. And that's probably going to require putting something underneath the A-arm so you're not stressing anything. Here's a closer look at the assembly. As you can see, I did have to push the ball joint farther onto the sway bar, because otherwise the linkage to the A-arm was not very straight up and down, and that was causing issues with attaching it. And that is the center. There's a look at the center brace, the tensioner, and where the center brace attaches on that side. Time to assemble the rear sway bar. It's essentially identical, except for the fact that it uses these guys instead of the silver ends that went over here. It's essentially the same part, but instead of there being a ball, there's a socket in place of it. There we go, that's secured. And then also, ball end just goes in there, and they are going to snap into here somehow, hopefully. Let's see if there's a good way to do these. Just brute force. That's the best way for these guys. Yep, there we go. Okay, and also this is the 1.2 collar and the sway bar with 2 stripes on it. I'm gonna pull this over here. It's essentially the same process. This little guy over here. I know that's slightly out of shot. That's okay. And then we're going to slide that to there. Like that, and grab our 2 caps. Put them on top. We're going to cinch those down with the 2 cap head, nope, not cap head, flathead screws into there. And finally, with those threaded in, we can screw in our grub screws. Not too tight, of course. And then after that, we can attach the linkages to the A-arms. Okay. There's 2. Sweet. We now have both sway bars, front and rear, on this thing, and the center brace and belt tensioner installed on this. It's kind of hard to see, but we do indeed have them installed. That's about the focus point. That's the rear one. Pretty much identical, except for this assembly there. And it does indeed work. That's super nice. Front works as well. one side on the A-arms is a little snugger than the other. That is going to be the stopping point for today's episode. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please leave a like, hit that subscribe button, comment down below. Also hit that notification bell to get notified of episode 6 coming out in a couple days, because this is episode 5. Yeah, also follow me on Instagram at highway49_RC, and talk to y'all next time.